Some minds don't crave noise, they don't itch for constant movement, endless novelty, or a steady stream of stimulation just to feel okay. Where most brains demand background music, scrolling screens, buzzing, notifications, and packed schedules to stay regulated, yours doesn't. Silence doesn't unsettle you. Stillness doesn't feel threatening. An empty afternoon doesn't register as wasted time. It simply exists, and that's enough. For many people, quiet creates discomfort. Without external input, their nervous system starts to agitate. Restlessness creeps in. Anxiety follows. They interpret that agitation as proof. They need more activity, more excitement, more stimulation to feel alive. But what they're actually experiencing is dependence. Their reward system has been trained to expect outside triggers to release dopamine, the chemical tied to motivation and satisfaction. When those triggers disappear, the brain feels flat, hollow, unsatisfied. So they chase louder sounds, busier lives, bigger experiences, calling it living full. When in reality, they're feeding a loop they don't know how to exit. You don't live inside that loop. Your brain generates contentment internally. Peace doesn't arrive from external input. It already exists in baseline form. Silence doesn't trigger panic because your nervous system isn't scanning the environment for the next hit of stimulation. You can sit alone, doing nothing visible, and feel completely fine. That's not laziness. It's not apathy. It's not depression. It's a different operating system. Most people mistake this stillness for boredom, but boredom requires desire, wanting something that isn't present. You're not bored. You're simply not dependent. Society treats constant stimulation like oxygen, assuming everyone needs it to survive. But you've already learned what most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Peace doesn't come from outside. It never did. This same wiring shows up clearly in how you experience social interaction. For extroverted brains, people are fuel. Conversation, shared attention, eye contact, group energy, these recharge their system. Their brains light up in social settings, pulling stimulation directly from interaction. When the gathering ends, they feel energized and want more. Your experience runs in the opposite direction. Every interaction costs energy. Even enjoyable conversations require effort. Your nervous system treats social engagement like work, not unpleasant work, but labor nonetheless. After spending hours with people, you don't feel sad or anxious. You feel depleted. Your brain has been processing facial expressions, tone shifts, emotional undercurrents, social expectations, timing, responses, all while regulating your own behavior. That level of processing consumes fuel. Alone time isn't avoidance, it's recovery. Your system needs quiet to rebuild what social engagement burns through. This has nothing to do with fear, insecurity, or trauma. Introversion isn't a flaw or a wound. Many introverts are confident, articulate, funny, even charismatic in the moment. The difference appears afterward. Where extroverts feel charged, you feel the weight. You need space. This isn't weakness, it's biology. Neuroscience backs this up. Introverted brains tend to process information through longer neural pathways, especially those connected to internal reflection and meaning-making. Extroverted brains rely more heavily on shorter circuits tied to external reward and stimulation. Neither is superior. They're just different designs. Staying home after socializing doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your brain requires quiet to function optimally. That quiet fuels one of your strongest traits, a rich internal world. For you, the mind is the main event. While others rely on constant external input to stay engaged, your thoughts generate their own momentum. Ideas layer, questions branch, memories replay with new interpretation. You can sit still for hours without running out of mental material because your brain produces its own content. This isn't passive daydreaming, it's active cognitive processing. You think deeply about things most people skim past. One conversation can echo for days. A book read months ago continues unfolding in your imagination. You replay scenarios, test possibilities, refine theories, explore ideas that haven't fully formed yet. Home becomes the environment where this process actually works. Outside, your thinking gets interrupted. Noise cuts through trains of thought. People demand immediate responses, environments fragment. Attention before ideas can mature. Alone, nothing disrupts the flow. Your internal world expands at its own pace. People see you sitting quietly and assume nothing is happening. They're wrong. You're running simulations, solving problems, creating meaning from raw thought. That isn't isolation. That's where your brain does its real work. The external world provides input, but the internal world is where you actually live. This connects directly to your strong need for autonomy. You function best when you control your time, pace, and emotional bandwidth. When someone else dictates your schedule, your nervous system pushes back. It feels invasive, like someone rearranging your internal structure without consent. Even reasonable plans can create tension if they override your internal rhythm. Autonomy isn't about doing whatever you want, whenever you want. It's about protecting the tempo your brain operates on. Waking naturally instead of to an imposed alarm. Working through tasks in the order that makes sense to you. Spending energy where it feels intentional rather than obligatory. When that autonomy is compromised, everything becomes harder. Focus fractures. Motivation drains. Simple tasks require disproportionate effort because you are resisting imposed structure instead of moving with your own flow. Home offers relief because it removes external control. You decide when to eat, sleep, work, rest. No unnecessary meetings. No forced small talk. No performance for someone else's comfort. This gets mislabeled as antisocial, but that misses the truth. You're not avoiding people. You're protecting your operating system from constant override. Autonomy isn't selfishness. It's self-preservation for a mind that functions best when trusted to manage itself. That's it. Independence shows up in your relationship with validation. You don't need an audience to exist. Many people build identity through feedback, likes, comments, invitations, recognition. Their sense of worth depends on being seen and acknowledged. Without confirmation, they spiral. Am I interesting? Do I matter? Does this count if no one notices? Your identity doesn't rely on that feedback loop. You measure yourself internally. You know what matters to you without needing witnesses. An empty weekend doesn't threaten your self-worth. You can work on something alone for months without external encouragement. Accomplishments feel real whether anyone else knows about them or not. This gets misunderstood. People assume your indifference to attention means low self-esteem or sadness. In reality, it reflects a stable internal foundation. Validation can still feel nice, but it isn't required for functionality. Your brain generates meaning internally. That's rare. Most people spend their lives outsourcing their self-worth to whoever is willing to provide it. Your nervous system also processes sensory input differently. Sounds, lights, textures, smells, and movement hit harder. What others filter out, you absorb. In a crowded space, your brain doesn't compress noise into background hum. It registers individual conversations, clinking glasses, scraping chairs as separate streams. Bright lights cause physical discomfort. Strong scents trigger headaches. Certain fabrics feel unbearable. Highly sensitive systems extract more detail from sensory input. This creates richness in calm environments. Music sounds fuller, nature feels vivid, quiet moments carry depth. But in chaotic settings, that same sensitivity overwhelms the system. Too much input arrives too fast to process. The body responds with fatigue, irritability, or the urgent need to escape. This isn't anxiety, it's bandwidth. Home becomes sanctuary because you control the sensory load, soft lighting, predictable textures, manageable sound. Your nervous system finally rests instead of defending itself. That's not fragility. It's a different biological threshold. Because of this, solitude does and scare you. Many people can't tolerate being alone for long. Discomfort creeps in, thoughts spiral. Loneliness feels threatening. They fill silence with noise, scrolling, background TV, unnecessary conversation. Anything to avoid being alone with themselves. That reaction comes from evolutionary wiring that associates isolation with danger. Your system doesn't respond that way. Solitude feels neutral or restorative. You can spend hours or days alone without emotional collapse. Your thoughts don't spiral into darkness. Your mood remains stable. You don't need another person present to feel okay. This gets projected onto you. People call you lonely when you're not. They mistake your peace for suffering because they're imagining themselves in your place. Comfort with solitude isn't emptiness. It's emotional stability without external support, something most people never develop. You're also selective with social energy. You don't dislike people. You dislike hollow interaction. Meaningful conversations, real connection, depth, shared insight can be energizing, but surface-level exchanges drain you completely. Small talk, forced politeness, performative group settings cost energy without return. Your brain tracks this like a budget. Every interaction has a cost. You've learned to spend carefully, investing energy where it matters. This gets misread as coldness or arrogance, but it's simply resource management. One real conversation satisfies more than dozens of shallow ones. Routine supports you rather than trapping you. Where others chase novelty, your brain finds safety in consistency. Familiar environments reduce cognitive load. Predictable patterns free mental space for deeper focus. Stability isn't stagnation, it's foundation. Novelty-driven cultures mistake restlessness for vitality. They chase constant change, never staying anywhere long enough to build depth. You invest in refinement, delayed gratification, systems that compound over time. Growth for you happens quietly, in repetition, in the unglamorous middle most people abandon. And finally, fear of missing out doesn't control you. You don't measure life by what others are doing. You ask a simpler question. Does this align with what I need right now? If the answer is no, you decline without spiral. You trust your internal compass more than collective noise. That isn't isolation. It's autonomy. Living according to your own rhythm instead of borrowed expectations isn't missing out. It's choosing reality over performance. And that's something most people never learn to do.